Turning Point USA has been living a double life during the moments leading up to this Charlie Kirk trial. And now we have a secret document that has been leaked right ahead of this Charlie Kirk pretrial. And their dirty secrets are coming out. We know their master plan. They've been acting weird since pretty much day one. And now we know the dark secret. And like, have you ever watched two grown men sweat through their microphones trying to convince an audience that the massive highly monetized event that they are currently promoting means nothing? A certain right wing media host, two to be exact, just aired a very bizarre broadcast, and they were very aggressively downplaying an upcoming legal pretrial and really more or less, like, dare I say, a spectacle. They're repeating a very specific disclaimer so many times that it kind of sounds a little bit like a hostage tape. They desperately want you to ignore what is actually happening behind the scenes of their multi platform media circus. I'm going to show you exactly how these conservative grifters accidentally confessed their real agenda on a hot mic. And once you notice the psychological meltdown that these two are having in their daily programming schedule, you're never going to look at them the same. And listen, we haven't really been looking at them the same since. But real quick, if you're new here, I'm Loren Piretra. I'm speaking low because Willa Piretra is already asleep. That's my four-legged boss and co-host. And before we go any further, I also got to warn you guys that Stephen Miller is at large. He's out of the deflecting pool, and he might be onto your pool or any body of water. If there's a spill nearby, any water will do. He's been known to air dry on a vent. He is so deeply unwell about how many of you aren't subscribed or following me right here. So wherever you get your podcasts, hit sub, fix it. Let's get Stephen Miller pissed off. Let's get him hiding again. We like him when he's in hiding. We hate him when he comes to the light or to the surface or into our homes. So let's give him the structure he needs, and let's work towards a timeline where that man is in a windowless cage. We do that by subbing, comments, 6 words or more. Leave us hype, all the things, all the actions, they all help. So Turning Point USA would like you to know that this trial, this pretrial, no big deal. They would like you to know that so much that they're going to say it 3 times in about 4 minutes, unprompted, which is exactly how people talk about things that are no big deal, that are definitely not top of their mind. Nobody is pushing back. Nobody's even asking them like, hey, Blake, hey, Andrew, why are you saying that like a mantra? Why are you saying that like an affirmation? They repeated it enough times that you would think that the sentence would start doing some work for them. And then in the very same announcement, they described their coverage plans. Folks, I have more questions. I watched these two grown adults insisting that this event is minor while they unveil their wall-to-wall coverage of that same minor event. I'm going to show you the transcript. Once you notice the pattern, you can't stop noticing. And at some point, it doesn't even sound like an announcement anymore. Pay attention to Andrew Colvett and Blake Neff in these next couple minutes. Stay with me. I'm going to show you this whole video.
I want to just address what's going to happen next week, because there's a huge event that's happening next week that's obviously near and dear to us, and it's going to be very difficult in many ways, and that is, of course, the preliminary hearing in the case of the state burst through the 10th. As I said, it's going to be very difficult, extremely difficult, but an important week.
So difficult that we'll wait till you hear all of our marketing plans for it. I always put marketing plans behind my most difficult moments in life.
And that's going to be for all of us in the extended Turning Point family, and especially Erika and Charlie's parents. And, you know, they're going to be in my prayers a lot next week. And I know you as well, Blake. And so it's going to be difficult because they are going to be in the actual courthouse, and that's going to be difficult. I mean, I am not going to be there. Blake and I will be running a special episode streaming. We're going to be streaming the entire preliminary hearing, and then after it concludes at the end of the day, we are going to be bringing in experts, people that were on the ground in Provo, and we're going to be breaking that down, the big evidence that's revealed, the big news that's made, whatever is critically important to what happens that day. We feel it's incumbent upon us to be a source of truth and just honesty about how it's reporting, because there's going to be a lot of news, okay? And there's going to be a lot of people taking it and doing what they will with it. We want to be a place where you guys can come to trust what's going to happen. We're going to bring in really, really smart people.
Pay attention to how nervous Blake Neff looks this entire time. You would think he's got a ticking time bomb at his feet. This man looks so uncomfortable.
I don't know if you want to chime in on that.
Well, it's just we want to be clear. We're making it sound like it is the trial, and honestly, to us, it sometimes feels like that. It is not the trial.
This is not the trial.
This is only a preliminary hearing where they essentially show probable cause for charging Tyler Robinson.
Yeah. So let's go into that. This is not the trial. This is the pretrial judicial proceeding, okay? There will be no jury, and the sole purpose of the hearing is to determine whether the prosecutors have gathered enough evidence for the case to move forward to a trial, okay? So there's different rules. We'll get into all that next week. You can allow hearsay, et cetera, et cetera. But the hearing is expected, to, like I said, to last most of the week. It will include witness testimony, evidence presented by the prosecutors, and cross-examination by the defense. As I said before, Charlie's parents and Erika will be there together throughout the proceedings. They are not attending as public figures. They're attending as grieving loved ones to witness the process of justice unfold. So I hope, this probably is more of a hope and a prayer than anything else, that the media and social media pay them the respect that they deserve. So this hearing, by the way, was originally scheduled for the end of May.
Yes.
We were all gearing up for it, but based on some motions made by the defense, it got pushed to next week, July 6th. It's an incredibly busy part of the schedule for all of us. We've got stuff going on in D.C. this weekend, and then
If your best friend who you work with and built your whole career with gets brutally in front of everyone in a very catastrophic way, would you be talking about their trial like this? We've got so much stuff going on. We're so booked and busy, but we got to make time for this extravaganza. Real quick, today's episode is brought to you by Brickhouse Nutrition. Everyone's talking about weight loss injections because the results are so dramatic. They work by lowering your blood sugar and reducing your appetite. So what if you're looking to lose weight, but you're not interested in those painful weekly injections, especially when you hear about some of those intense side effects? Well, that's why doctors created a weight loss supplement called Lean, and the results are remarkable. The studied ingredients in Lean have been shown to lower your blood sugar, burn fat by converting it to energy, and curb your appetite and cravings so you're not as hungry. But listen, Lean is not for the casual dieter with only a few pounds to lose. The doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition created Lean for frustrated dieters with 10 or more pounds to lose. And let's get you started today with 20% off and free rush shipping so you can add Lean to your healthy diet and exercise plan. You can visit takelean.com and enter code Loren, that's Loren, for your discount. That's promo code Loren at takelean.com.
there's a lot going on, and I feel it's terrible for Erika that she's got to fly back and forth all over the place. But this is what the court decided, and so we're sort of bound by the schedule that the court has decided.
It's what we have to live by Charlie's example, and Charlie was a man who was always ready to go wherever was needed.
Bro, it's a fucking court. It's a pretrial date. It was delayed because a lot of fucking evidence was plopped late in the game. I think they said like 28,000 documents.
No, this is a place you can turn to for everything that's happening in the case next week and in the months to come as it continues.
Yeah, and they'll be representing their full extended families on both sides. So there'll be some other friends and a few other family members, but they're going to be there representing the family on both sides. And, me personally, I'm glad I get to be in here with you. So my heart goes out to everybody that has to be in that courtroom because I don't want to breathe the same air as that person. So anyways, that's kind of what's going on. And then after that, we've got CLS. Blake and I will be also traveling back to do CLS, which is our chapter leadership summit, which is going to be remarkable this year. And I just want to give so much praise to the team. They've been doing so much hard work behind the scenes. We're going to have more than 2,000 student leaders from across the country gathered together for multiple days of
Anyone else jarred by that like quick transition?
training. There's going to be a bunch of big speakers. This is not like one of our big conventions where you guys can get tickets. This is just for students and equipping, activism training. We've got over 5,000 chapters, official chapters. I think we've got a presence on nearly 6,000 campuses across the country, but official chapters, we have 5,000 chapters, over 1,500 college chapters now, and more than 3,500 Club America high school chapters across the summit or across the country. So this is going to be a huge, huge deal. So Erika will actually get there late because of the scheduling of this preliminary hearing. But when she gets there, she's going to give her full heart and attention to those students because ultimately that's what Charlie would have wanted. And God bless her for that because I can't imagine just the emotional whiplash that would entail, going from something so dark and terrible, and then having to immediately juxtapose that with having to address 2,000 students. But that ultimately is the core of what Charlie's legacy and mission was about the students, and so God bless her for that. So it's going to be quite the week. But please know that we are going to be streaming the preliminary hearing here. We'll take the show. We'll do the show live. If we have to throw to an important part of that hearing, we will. And but obviously, there's still going to be news of the day that we're going to have to cover intermixed with that. So it's going to be a bit of a dance. So bear with us as we do that. But we want to give a lot of attention to that. When the show wraps, we'll continue streaming it, so you can get that on all of our social channels, Rumble, X, all of the above. I think we should probably even do YouTube next week. But anyway, so we're going to do that. And then it should wrap around 5 Utah time. So that would be 7 Eastern. And at that point, we'll probably take about a 30-minute break, gather ourselves, and then we'll do a special, probably 1-hour episode every day. So if you are subscribed to the podcast, you can get our updates there, our show there, and then we'll be streaming it live as well. We might work with Real America's Voice to see if they can take it as well. So we just want to be very clear about the logistics next week. It's going to be a very full week. It's going to be very challenging for us, but we feel it's incumbent on us to do this and step into this breach, step into the gap, because if you don't, there's going to be a void of fake news and disinformation, and so we want to do that for you and provide that resource. Any final thoughts, Blake?
We encourage all of you to join us. We know this is going to be a long journey, a difficult journey. It's one we wish had started a lot earlier. This hearing was delayed. Honestly, I think even multiple times. I don't know that May was the original date either.
I think it was April and then May, then now July.
It's been pushed and pushed, but we are committed to seeing this whole process through, because it's our solemn obligation, and we aim to fulfill it.
Whew. That make anyone else deeply uncomfortable? Why does Blake Neff make me so deeply uncomfortable? We're not probably paying enough attention to Blake Neff. Interesting. So here's a couple of things that stood out to me. How many times did they have to say, this is not the trial? This is not the trial. They say it at least 3 times in close succession. Not the trial. We're making it sound like the trial. It's not the trial. Then pivots to, we're going to be having hours of programming, a whole extravaganza, a whole streamathon, live streaming, bringing in experts, guest speakers, running hour-long nightly recap show. Like, at what point does it feel like a little too for profit? And then the scheduling juxtaposition also strikes me as odd. Erika Kirk will go from the courthouse directly to thousands of students at a summit, and they even kind of editorialize the emotional whiplash of it. God bless her for that. She's going to be talking to more than 2,000 students, 5,000 chapters. It reads very much like a briefing. It doesn't feel natural to me. And it feels like they're trying to get ahead of something. These things also kind of feel a little bit rhetorical and self-promotional. I mean, they're trying to capitalize off of this moment. I also wanted to do some quick fact checking here. So I took that info after I watched it this morning. The hearing dates, the preliminary hearing is confirmed. It's going to start July 6th, my birthday, Monday through the 10th. And that's going to be after Judge Graff granted the defense's request to delay it from its original date, May 18th. It was originally scheduled for end of May, so that checks out, though Blake's aside that he thought it was originally April is not what it shows. He's just being weird. Consistently throughout the coverage that I could find, it was May 18th was the pretrial, and I also had that date clocked originally. Robinson faces 7 counts, including aggravated murder, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering. Prosecutors intend to seek capital punishment, the death penalty. Nature of their hearing, so their description matches. During a preliminary hearing, the judge is going to determine that there's enough probable cause to order a defendant to stand trial. Notably low bar for prosecutors to meet. Judge himself said the hearing is not a trial and does not involve a determination of guilt or innocence. So these are talking points, but they're also, as far as this is concerned, accurate, just deeply awkward. And the hearing will remain open to the public. So it's despite the defense's efforts, we've covered Tyler Robinson did not want cameras in the courthouse, didn't want the spectacle. No electronics will be allowed in the courtroom, but it's worth noting how live any in-room coverage is actually going to be. We're very curious to see that. Again, I'm going to keep covering this. I feel weird. I want to know what you guys think. Things are about to get really fucking interesting. So make sure you're subscribed. Also, I'm going to be on the road a little bit. So find me on social. I am Loren P everywhere except for Twitter, where I'm Loren Piretra. And let's stay in touch there too, because I'll be putting some stuff out live and in the moment in stories, and I want to share all that with you. And of course, every single day we will have a video up on YouTube, and we'll be rolling out some lives and some streams to really go all in on this upcoming moment. Thanks for being here. Ciao.